Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels, where my guest is Alex Segura, returning with a new book and new comic stuff and a wonderful Love and Rockets t-shirt because, everybody loves Love and Rockets.
Yes,
How's it going, Alex?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You're a pleasure. Um, and you were kind enough to let me read Alter Ego. So let's start there. You're continuing your secret identity uh universe. I mean, it's all part of your head universe, but
Yeah.
as we just discussed, start by just pitching Alter Ego, and I'll come up with questions from there.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. Alter Ego is the follow-up to Secret Identity, which was my novel in 2 years ago. That was a murder mystery set in the comic book industry of the 70s. Um, and it followed a queer Cuban American woman, Carmen Valdez, who moves from Miami to New York to pursue her dream of working in comics. She gets a job at this third-rate publisher called Triumph Comics. I'll kind of zoom through Secret Identity and get to Alter Ego, but you kind of need the broad strokes help.
Yeah.
Um, she's pitching her boss ideas. He's kind of this curmudgeonly blowhard, Jeffrey Carlisle. He basically says, "Look, I've got nothing for you. Please stop doing that. Just do your job, and maybe down the line I'll give you a promotion." Um, she's despondent, but then is approached by a colleague, Harvey Stern, who says, "Hey, Carlisle just assigned me this new series. He wants me to launch this new female superhero. He hasn't given me anything else beyond that. I'm kind of at a loss. Can you help me? I know you want to write comics, but the catch being that Carmen has to do it anonymously until down the line, Harvey says they'll eventually tell Carlisle that she's involved. Um, they create this character called the Legendary Links, which is based on Carmen's notes and notebooks over the years of ideas, and it becomes a huge hit. It becomes Triumph's biggest hit. The only problem is Harvey's been murdered, and no one has any idea that Carmen's involved. And if you know anything about comics, which I'm assuming listeners of this podcast do,
I
uh,
mean, some of them.
yeah, I think
Some of them are learning. Hi, Mom.
yeah, yeah. You also, Carmen knows that eventually the book will be assigned to somebody else once they burn through the initial stack of scripts that Harvey turned in. So she's kind of on the clock to solve the murder of her friend and also to reclaim this character. And while you're reading the book, you're seeing interspersed pages from the comic drawn by Doug Detmer, quote unquote, the character in the book, but really drawn by Sandy Jarrell, who is a truly amazing artist and collaborator. So that's Secret Identity. What Alter Ego does is it's the other side of the coin. If Secret Identity is a love letter to a lost New York, a lost period of comics, Alter Ego is very much in the modern day, in the comic book industry we're all familiar with, in a world of multimedia IP and multi-platform entertainment. Um, our protagonist is a former comic book artist named Annie Bustamante, who now works in film. She's a director and has garnered some acclaim, an Oscar nomination, but is kind of reeling. When we find her, she has just had her latest project shelved for tax reasons by the studio. And she's kind of in a holding pattern when she realizes that this entertainment company called Triumph Entertainment has come out of nowhere announcing a big plan to revitalize this old obscure comic book IP, the Triumph heroes, including the legendary Lynx. And so we learned early on how important this character was to Annie. It was the character that kind of pulled her into comics, that really got her and her friend Danny working on their own comics and stories. And it's become almost like a talisman for Annie. Everywhere she goes to a convention, she'll find a copy and buy it. And it's kind of the her white whale, the thing she never got to do after she left comics, and she's a mom, and she's moved on, but this is the thing that kind of could have pulled her back, and it does when they reach out and ask her to relaunch the series, and in tandem with the entertainment wing of the company. So she's psyched, and you know what they say, sometimes you get exactly what you want, so you be careful what you wish for, and that's exactly what happens to Annie, that as she digs deeper into the history and ownership of the Lynx, she finds some dark secrets that could threaten her and threaten her family. And so it's a big thing. The big theme is like art versus commerce, like what the artist does versus what the company wants you to do, and how you kind of navigate that, and the needs of the corporate needs versus the artistic needs. And I always joke with my friends when they ask me like what the book's about. I say, if you wanted a mystery about parenthood, generational trauma, and art versus commerce, and Alter Ego is the book for you. Um,
I agree with that statement.
yeah, which I don't think is
I
bad. It's, you write
definitely
this.
agree with that statement.
Yeah, it's also, I think it works independently of Secret Identity. Obviously, I'm a
Yeah.
little tied to it, but I think if you just read Alter Ego, you'll have a fun mystery set in the current comic book industry and entertainment industry. If you read them together, you'll probably get a little bit more. But I worked really hard to make this feel not like a traditional sequel where it was like, oh, now it's Carmen in the 80s or Carmen in the
Yeah, no,
90s.
I think initially when you started talking about it in your newsletter, you were talking about it like it wasn't connected. So I think I was actually a little surprised to see the links back when I started reading. I really loved the way that you did it in such a way where
Oh,
it
thanks.
was definitely I had a deeper knowledge, but
Yeah.
I also didn't feel like anything that I knew from Secret Identity was necessary
Good. Yeah,
to
and that's the goal. I mean, Carmen shows up, spoiler. I mean, she's in there at some point, but
right.
she's
The
definitely not the protagonist, and she's ever present, I would say,
though I
before she even appears.
Right. Though I will say that you also,
Hmm.
and I wonder if this was intentional or not. I was thinking about it as you were describing Jeffrey Carlisle. Um, you really one of the things I've been noticing looking at our particularly rich white males in the United
Hmm.
States lately is uh, the more generations down they are, the dumber they seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's all it's yeah, that's one way to say
Um,
it. I think it's also a byproduct of privilege.
uh,
Like, I think in
Well,
Secret
I
Identity,
do. I do.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's absolutely a byproduct. They've never had to be intelligent. They've never had to figure out how the rest of the world lives. It's there are great. I mean, I'm an educator, so I
yeah, yeah.
immediately started breaking down. Oh, that's because of this, this, and this.
Yeah. No, and I think you see it. I mean, in Secret Identity, Jeffrey Carlisle is still pretty adept at the business side because he's had
Yeah,
to build
yeah.
like this pulp
He's a
empire,
bastard, but like he's not dumb, and
right?
he's not
Whereas
inhuman.
Bird is a little inept. He is inept and kind of bumbling around and
Right.
trying to find the shortest path from here to there, as opposed to strategically thinking this is the best business
Right.
decision for us.
And his sense of morals are even less.
Oh yeah,
And
no, I
and
mean he's just in it for the dollar.
right. Well, I mean, I somebody passed something along to me recently, and I need to go find it again.
Hmm.
Uh, because it was actually like research done on empathy, uh, across social classes, and
Huh.
essentially, the wider the divide, the less the actual chemicals that we have when we're feeling for other people
Right.
will register in people. In other words, once you get to a certain point, it's like the people below you are like cats and dogs, not,
Mm.
and it's not like an intentional thing. You don't literally say, "Oh, they're." I mean, some
Right.
of them probably do, but the difference in understand, so like it doesn't register. Oh, that must be bad, but it's not like, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean
Does that make sense?
the disgustingly wealthy probably have
Right.
less empathy. I mean, just speaking generally for sure.
Well, I mean, and again, I mean, this is I say this even non-accusatorily. I don't think it's because they're. I mean, some of them aren't trying, but they as we have such a vast difference, their experience is just so ridiculously different.
Hmm.
Um, and that kind of came through in
Good.
Carlisle's kid.
Yeah, he's definitely like, yeah, he's kind of some nepo action going on. He definitely has not had to struggle at all in his
he's
life.
got he's got some Brett Kavanaugh feel. Um, so I'm excited. Is it and I forgot already. Is it the same artist doing the art? I
Yeah,
haven't seen
yeah.
the
I mean,
art yet for this one,
yeah, it's on
but
the eGalley. I meant to tell you that if you download the eGalley, it's all on there. Which is just kind
the
of published.
NetGalley.
Yeah, just get it from NetGalley and you can see
No,
the art
that's where I
pages.
read it. It wasn't there when I read it.
It's been updated. I think when you
Ah,
got it was pretty early on
gotcha. Well,
in the
then I'll have to
tenure.
go look.
Yeah, just skim through it. I think, just like Secret Identity, the
I
art
think I
comp.
have it for like another hour or two.
Yeah, get in there. I think the art complements the prose, like Secret Identity, in the same way. It
Right,
is Sandy doing the art, though. In the story, it's a testament to how great Sandy is. He changed his style enough to make it seem like it was a more modern comic book artist. In this story, it's Annie who's drawing. She's drawing a Lynx comic for fun. She's doing it for
right.
fun because she has all this time on her hands between gigs. And then this opportunity arises, and she says, "Well, I've got all these pages. I've basically been doing what you're trying to do on my own." Um, so that's kind of where it comes from.
That's fantastic. I mentioned to you off air and in emails
Hmm.
that you sent me down Pete Fernandez um, rabbit hole
Oh,
just
good.
because I knew that he was another character yours. I had like the first book already in my Audible queue. You know, I picked it up on sale at some point or
Hmm.
whatever, and I just hadn't gotten around to it. But then he popped up in Alter Ego,
Yeah.
and interestingly enough, that I'm like, oh, I got to go learn about this guy. So talk to me about how the should we call it the Alex verse? What do you want to
Yeah,
call
I
it?
mean, it's all happening in the same place. That's what I like to joke about. And also, if you're a fan of my creator-owned comics, you see that they all show up in some form in Secret Identity and Alter Ego, like the Black Ghost, or the Freedom Alliance is the Avengers JLA type team from the Awakened, the Dusk, things like that. It's just when I first started working on Secret Identity, I was like, well, I have to make up all these characters that populate this universe. And I was like, well, I have all these characters, and who better to use in my own superheroes to kind of build out this umbrella or this universe. But when I was writing Alter Ego, it was set in the modern day. Annie was from Miami, so it wasn't too much of a stretch to think that she knew of Pete Fernandez or had interacted with him. They were kind of around the same age. Um, and in earlier drafts, there was a cop character, a police detective type character, and then Pete showed up in a much smaller role. And my editor, Zach Wagman at Flatiron, said, "Well, it just feels silly that he's not just he should just be that person, like the law or the point of contact to the law, and the investigator." And it filled out the book in such a cool way because it's an Easter egg if you're a fan of the Pete books. If you're not, he's just a kind of interesting character that feels really fleshed out and fully developed because he has been over 5 novels and 2 novellas. Like he's definitely like I've explored his psyche and life. So um, and it was fun to see where he was because when you leave him in Miami Midnight, you get an inkling that things are going to be okay, and it was nice to kind
Or
of
at
check
least
in with
better?
him. Yeah, definitely
Yes,
better. No cars blowing up that we know of. Everyone
probably.
seemed to be relatively alive. He was a
Right.
dad. He's a dad. Um,
It was the first one that made me go, hey, he might be okay. Can we hear about that?
yeah, yeah. And so that was part of it was like I just wanted to kind of check in with him and say, "Oh, he's fine, relatively
Right.
fine. He's still with Kathy. The kid is getting older. He seems to still be sober, so
That's
it
good.
was good on multiple levels."
Um, so that actually reminds me of the question that I definitely had. Both Pete Fernandez and Annie Bustamante.
Hmm.
Um, I guess Annie's in recovery for the whole book. Pete, you take him from his drunk days through recovery.
Hmm.
Uh, we definitely had an alcohol theme with Harvey and not Harvey, Stern.
Detmer, yeah, with Detmer.
Oh, Detmer, yeah. Well, I also remember the scene where Stern was drunk and came on to Carmen.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
Um, so uh, this is a theme that you write about a lot. I don't necessarily want to get too personal, but
Hmm.
unless you want to, um, what drives that? What I mean, I think it's an important theme. I'm a teacher.
Yeah,
I'm a
it is important. I think
right.
you're right. I think it's important to see how people overcome their own demons to improve themselves.
I
And
also think it's important the way you've humanized them, even when they're with their demons.
yeah, I don't think it's a linear yes or no kind of
Right.
thing where you just say I'm gonna stop doing this and now I'm okay. It's definitely a messy process from what I
Right.
understand, and I wanted to show that kind of the human error that goes into recovery and the progress, and have it feel true, not just feel like, sometimes you watch on TV where someone's like they pour the bottle out into the sink and everything's fine afterwards, and that's not really how it works. It's
No,
definitely a
no.
journey, it's an ongoing struggle. And that was one of the things with Pete too. Like, one of the important moments in Down the Darkest Street was to show him relapsing, that if if you
Right.
don't tend to yourself, if you don't take care of yourself, and you really push yourself to the limit, you're going to hurt yourself. And so that was part of his story. But I think with Annie, it was very much, I wanted to show the contrast of the person she was and the person she is in the present day, and then kind of give you glimpses of how she got there and how that, connective tissue exists. But I think, yeah, I think it's the reason it's interesting to me is because I think it shows like our ability to overcome our demons and become something else. You kind of become yourself almost if you kind of rid yourself of this addiction or this problem. And that's fascinating to me because, how often do we get the chance to kind of reboot ourselves?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to like go looking for the art in Alter
Oh,
Ego.
good. I hope you found it. Did you find it?
Yes.
Good. It's cool.
Yes.
Sandy's great.
Only a little so far, but we'll have to look at more as we go.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, no, and that's I think something I've noticed in both comics and the world of fiction is that uh genre fiction has become more accepted as a vehicle to explore characters.
Hmm.
It used to be any character studies were literary fiction,
Right.
and literary fiction couldn't be genre fiction. Um,
Yeah. I mean, one thing. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and there's a lot of blending now, and you do that well. So yeah, I should have just stopped when you started talking.
No, it's fine. It's good. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think one of the challenges, I think people just pigeonhole books too easily, and that's really a marketing's job. Like, I think as authors, we shouldn't think about like, well, where is this going to be shelved? That's literally somebody else's job. Like,
Right,
our job is to think of what is the most compelling story I can tell, that I will find interesting to tell, that I want to tell. If once we start chasing trends and thinking like, oh, well, stories about this kind of character doing this in this way are really hot, so I'm going to have to try to do that just to get a book deal. When I wrote the Pete books, when I wrote Silent City, everybody I pitched it to said the PI novel is dead. Nobody writes PI novels. Nobody cares about PI novels. And that may have been true in that moment, but I would like to think that's been proven wrong over time. And that was like 2000, late, 2011, 2012. So
right,
since then, we've seen a number of really great PI novels. And um, I hear it sometimes too with creator-owned stuff, like, oh, nobody's doing superheroes or creator-owned superheroes because it's all over the place elsewhere. But you have to write the story you want to write, otherwise you're just kind of a drone, and that's, you're only going to be disappointed because you're always going to be a few steps behind the trend, because the production is never going to, you're never going to match the trend. It's a trend for a reason. It's happening now. So if you
right.
start working now, you're never going to catch the trend.
Oh yeah, it's like I mean, we're both baseball guys.
Hmm.
Every time there's a shortage at a position for a
Right.
while, every dad, every high school coach tells every kid, you want to make the big leagues, become a catcher, become a shortstop,
Yeah, that's
you
like 10
know.
years away.
And then, well, but then like 5 years later, there's a glut. So
Yeah.
the 8-year-olds that were told that are way too late.
Yeah, I mean, you also don't want to lose the passion. And if you
Right,
find you're basically giving yourself homework, like, well, I have to write this police procedural with a supernatural element, even though that's not my bag. You're basically making your passion, your love, which is writing for most writers that are in it for a while, you're making it into an assignment, absent the passion, the stuff that makes you excited to work on it. So,
well,
I mean, there was no
that's
market asking for a
th-
murder mystery set in comics. Nobody
right.
was saying this is a hot trend.
That's
you know
that's an interesting segue because you also do a lot of work for hire. So,
Right.
I mean, those are to a certain extent more assignments, but
Yeah.
I know that you get given a lot of flexibility and whatnot. But how is your approach differently?
It's a good question. And I think the big similarity, the thing that is the same is that the passion is there. Like if I got I have turned stuff down. Like somebody came up to me and said, we want you to do this comic based on this property that was really popular once, and I just had no connection to it. And
Right,
I'd rather just not do it than do it kind of just to do it. I have the
right,
privilege of saying, I'm good. Like I don't, I'd rather go to someone that really loves that IP and is really into it. So all the stuff I do for hire is really stuff that I'm passionate about to some degree. Like I love Star Wars like everyone else on the planet, but it's really cool to be in that space and tell stories in that space. Like the
oh,
Battle of Jakku stuff.
you keep just teeing me up for the next
Yeah, yeah,
question, so
yeah.
I'm loving it. Finish.
Or even like the Spider-Man stuff. I remember reading Spider-Man as a kid and continuing to read him as an adult and coming up with my own stories. So when they were like, "Do you want to write a Spider-Verse novel?" Like, of course I want to write a Spider. I mean, that's like you get to not only try to tell a fun story, but you get to throw in little Easter eggs for yourself and for the fans and kind of show the passion that way. But if it were something where someone was like, "Do you want to write?" And this is not a diss. Like, do you want to write a Battlestar Galactica comic? I just wouldn't have the passion, and I wouldn't want to do a disservice to the fans or to the publisher by saying, "Sure, I'm going to cram on Battlestar Galactica," even though I like it. I'm fine with
Right,
it, but I'm just not obsessed with it the same way that
right.
I am obsessed with like Star Trek or Star Wars or Spider-Man or the X-Men. There's only so much space in our brains. But yeah,
S-
that's the overlap. The difference is a lot of it is established already. So you're
Right,
coming, the sandbox metaphor is very apt. You're coming into the sandbox, the toys have been already set up for you. You can play with them, and the hope is like you leave them in a better spot than you found them, or at least don't break them. Leave them so the next kid can come and play. Whereas with my toys, I can break them if I want to because I built them. I created them. And if the story guides me to breaking one or to hurting one or killing a character, I can do that. You have to put a lot more thought into doing that with somebody else's stuff, and you obviously have to get other approvals. It's much more collaborative than something I created on my own or with like
right.
co-creators.
So I want to talk both Spider-Man and Star Wars, but I want to start with Spider-Man
Hmm.
because um, I just finished listening to the Aranya novel,
Oh, cool. Thank you.
um, and I enjoyed it. And like want to make it really clear as I finish this sentence that A, I am completely incapable of making pictures in my head,
Okay.
and B, there's been some stuff going on like in my real life that had made me not quite as invested as I was with the Pete Fernandez books that I adore and
No
adore.
worries. Yeah, yeah.
Um, because I had trouble during the action sequences.
Hmm.
Um, because I can't make pictures in my head.
Yeah.
But it also made me go, you know, with something like Spider-Man and particularly a at times Spider-Man team up because
Hmm.
there's some really big action pieces in that book.
Yeah.
Um, what are the different? I mean, you've got Spider Society coming up next week,
Yes.
um, with a lot of the same characters.
Hmm.
What are the differences between trying to put that in a novel, and particularly a young adult novel, and writing for an artist that can like
Visualize it.
bring the visuals out for people like me who can't
Yeah.
visualize things.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think well, talking about headcanon, I think at least in my headcanon, the Aranya Spider-Man novel, broad strokes, happened. And so you kind of see that textural relationship in how Aranya and Miguel interact in Spider Society, which isn't a spoiler. Like, if
Right,
you've read my work, you know how I write these characters. And so it
right.
makes sense for that to carry over. But I
Well, that
think one of
makes
the
me look forward to Spider Society even more.
Good. I think one of the challenges with writing superhero prose is that it's such a visual genre, subgenre. Like the idea, it's based in comics and TV and movies, mostly comics. So there's a lot of over explaining that you have to do. And so I tried to make it accessible to someone who maybe is not a spider person. Like
Right.
she has web shooters and she shoots them and this is what they do and they shoot out strands of this sticky stuff and she swings on them.
Right.
Like you kind of have to narrate too much. And
Right.
the challenge in prose is to find the balance between that and the story. Like I want
Right.
people to just get into the story and into the action. And so with action in prose, my fallback is always clarity over style. Like
Okay.
especially in an action scene, like you want to be clear so the reader follows what's happening. Obviously, it's extra challenging if you can't visualize it as a
Right.
picture in your head, but you want it to be clear enough that someone who's listening or reading can understand what's going on. Whereas within a comic book, that's the artist's job to a
Right.
large degree. Like, not to say, haha, it's not my problem, but I can say to Scott Godlewski, who's the artist on Spider Society, big splash. Spider heroes are converging. Aranya is central. We have Spider Ham swinging by, and the Sinister Squadron is approaching. Like, like
And
that's a
he
bad
can
example.
go, fuck
Yeah.
you, Alex. That's
Yes.
way too many characters on a
Yeah,
page.
yeah, yeah. No, I try to do it with great care and sympathy, under knowing that it's easy for me to say an army storms the castle.
He's like, my name is not George Perez.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. So that you have to do that with some care. But yeah, that's the difference. The difference is the onus is completely on you when you're writing prose and you're writing a novel, and I always strive for clarity. I try, obviously, you always want style to come through. You want people to enjoy the ride, but I'd rather they understand what happened. And then you can get those character bits and those colorful moments later, but you want it to be clear. And you also, I
Right.
don't want people to feel left out. Like if someone's not a diehard Spider-Man
Right.
person and they read that book, hopefully they don't feel like, oh, I didn't really get what they meant by
What was
this.
going on?
And
Right.
so I try to keep
And
it pretty clear.
and
Like she goes,
that's the
yeah.
thing that I can't, it didn't can't emphasize enough that I enjoyed the book. For
Mhm.
listeners, I think Alex is clear that I wasn't trying to be harsh in my criticism. But
Yeah.
for listeners out there, I wasn't trying to be harsh in my criticism. I just, as a comic geek, I noticed and went, geez, this must be hard
Yeah.
to take
Yeah.
this really visual thing
Well,
and
I thought
try to
I'm,
find a way. I mean,
yeah.
particularly with Spider-Man, because it's so three-dimensional vision. You're not dueling. You're not staring at each other across. You're swinging through space.
Yeah, and I mean, look, there's a moment towards the end of the book where like alternate versions of characters start popping up, and I think
Right.
I had Demo Goblin show up, and that was a deep cut for me
Right.
because I was a Spider-Man kid and I love the '90s stuff, and I was like, let me throw in Demo Goblin, but then I kind of hurt myself because it's like, well, how do I explain what Demo Goblin is in like a sentence for
Right.
someone reading a Spider-Verse novel that maybe hasn't read like Maximum Carnage, like so
Right. I
those are the
mean,
challenges we pose.
thankfully, I mean, what you probably do have going for you is that the audience for the novel likely has seen the Spider-Verse movies.
Right,
So they
right.
have more of a concept of this time travel, alternate universe Spider-Man
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah, and that was the vibe. Like, let's write this like a Spider-Verse movie, but also
Right.
it teaches you to boil down information to its purest form. Like, it's a demonic Green Goblin. That's all you need to
Okay.
say. Like, I don't have to say like or demonic Hobgoblin. I don't have to say like in an alternate, during Inferno, this demon split Jason Massendale up with a demon and or whatever happened. Like eventually the demonic Hobgoblin was split into two beings. You don't have to explain that. You just need a
Right.
sentence that it's a demonic Hobgoblin,
Hobgoblin.
and that's more than enough, I think, for the casual reader.
Right.
And then the hardcore reader is like, oh, cool, it's Demo Goblin. Like I get
Right.
it.
Right.
So
So give us like the 30-second front counter pitch, front counter pitch for Spider Society before we jump to Star Wars.
yeah, Spider Society is exactly that. It's a team of all the biggest spider heroes. All of the spider heroes are part of the Spider Society, but they are attacked by an unknown threat of multi-universal villains called the Super Sinister Squadron, and it forces Madam Web to put together a tight unit of ragtag spider heroes to save the Spider-Verse from an previously unseen villain who is jamming up her powers. And so Madam Web can no longer look into the future or predict the future or see what's to come. So she has to use her wits to put together this team. And I've been very cagey about who is on the team. Like a lot of people seem to think they know based on like some of the prologue stories that happened in Web of Spider-Man and Edge of Spider-Verse, but you will be surprised by who the final roster is. And it's not what you expect in terms of who the stars are, which obviously Miguel is in there and Anya is a key player, but there are a lot of other fun surprises as well.
I mean, I'm looking at this first cover,
Hmm.
and is there really uh oh, why can't I remember? Raven Spider?
Hunter Spider, yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool.
The Spider-Verse is so much deeper than I realized.
Yeah.
Uh, and the covers 2 and 3 don't give away too much.
No, I mean,
Because we
issue
we have a more limited number of heroes on
yeah,
those.
you're seeing a more limited palette, but I think people will still be surprised. And I think if you read, the cool thing about this is that Marvel gave me some runway to kind of tee up the story. So there were two stories in Edge of Spider-Verse, issue 1 and issue 4, and then there was a longer story in Web of Spider-Man #1 where you see Madam Web realizing, hey, this problem is coming.
Right.
Spidey 2099, we have to figure out the team. And so they go back and forth a little bit, and there's a villain that shows up in one of those stories that will play a part later in the series. And there's also a lot of elements in those prologues. I mean, it's a kind of similar to Secret Identity and Alter Ego. You don't have to have read those prologue stories to understand Spider Society, but if you read them, it kind of adds some context and texture to it. And it's fun. It's really been a blast. Scott is an amazing artist, and he is great with drawing all the spider characters I throw at him. He gives each of them their very own personality and kind of posture and dynamic. There's romance, there's conflict. I wrote it very much like my favorite team books, as a kid, like Uncanny X-Men and things like that, where there's drama, there's people vying for leadership. It's a team on the run without the resources of like the Avengers or the Defenders or that kind of thing.
Yep.
um, and the odds are huge. Like how can you take on this team that basically knocked some of the iconic spider heroes out like with one punch? So
Very cool. All right. This actually, if we hadn't had to reschedule a few times, we
uh-huh.
wouldn't have been talking about this. And
Yes, it's
in
exciting.
that sense, I am really, really happy that we had to reschedule because I have been a Star Wars nut for as long as I can remember.
Oh good, well
Like
this book's for you.
my earliest memories are Return of the Jedi in the theater.
Hmm. Good.
Um, so
This is your era.
it is totally my era, and it is the least mind era.
Yes.
There are some old Marvel comic books that are now in the Legends, and a couple of the Legends novels came kind of close to this era, but most of them started 4 or 5 years after this era.
Hmm.
I want to say that Alex Wood, not Alex Wood,
I'm not sure.
Brian Wood comics started maybe as little as 2 years after this,
Hmm.
but I don't think anybody's picked up on Endor before.
uh
So,
yeah, I mean there's some of the novels touch on, like Princess Leia and Han's wedding and things that happen immediately after the Battle of Endor, but
well, but I mean, I don't know where it is in the current canon, but I mean, in the Legends universe, it was still like 2 or 3 years after.
yeah, in the current canon, it's a little more immediate,
Okay.
a little bit sooner, which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the
It
first.
even makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've been through this hardship.
Right.
Get married.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely an unmined era. It's in interesting contrast to the big epic space battles of the original trilogy and what that brought, and how do you find like a viable villain? There's just a lot of stuff to play with, like the remains of the Empire. How do they build the new republic? Like what's Luke's mission going to be? What is Han going to do? And it's been a really fun opportunity to play with the big toys, to play with
Right.
these characters that are pop culture icons. And how do you know sometimes when you're doing these not filling in the gap stories, but stories between big established beats, you have to really thread the needle. Whereas
Right.
here, there's a big gap
Right.
between the end of Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. Um, I played in that space a little bit, much closer to Force Awakens with the Poe book, the Poe
Right.
novel.
which
And
that's the only thing I haven't listened to. Ran out
oh
of
yeah, no
time. I was
worries.
in the
Yeah,
mood for a Parker book.
yeah, I don't blame you. And then I did get to
I'll get
do
to it. It's downloaded.
yeah, no, I hope you enjoy it. It was really fun. And I did
Poe
one
is my wife's favorite character.
oh
At
good.
least my wife's favorite new character.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar Isaac and I have a lot of overlap in terms of characters, like Spidey 2099. I wrote a Moon Knight short for one of the Marvel Infinity books.
Right.
Poe. I'm sure I'm missing someone. I haven't written Apocalypse yet, so
So here's my question.
uh
Have you and Oscar Isaac been seen in the same room at the same time?
anything spot. I mean, he used to play in bars in Miami when I was in college.
No, no.
Probably.
I just meant, is it possible that you're actually Oscar Isaac
Oh no,
slumming as a
no,
comic book guy?
no. Yeah, no. I don't think he would want the curse of that. But yeah, the Jakku stuff has been really interesting, and it's been really fun to not only show fans what these characters are doing in this not strange, but kind of missing chapter of Star Wars history, but to tee up some other stuff. And it's fun because there's some runway. It's not just a one shot. It's not just two issues. It's three miniseries that go back to back to back, and so it's
Yeah.
all one big story. Each miniseries has its own arc. You kind of
Will
see
there
the
be other books going on at the same time? Is this like an event like Charles Soule did with Crimson Dawn, etc.?
it's
Or
its own standalone thing. So there's no
okay.
no tie-ins, but there's enough material coming out during the period that you won't be missing stuff to buy.
Yeah, no. It's just I was trying to figure out how much you were getting to do this completely on your own, or whether it was a
Oh
writer's
yeah,
room
no, I'm
type
yeah,
thing
no,
where
no. It's not a writer's room.
where
I'm the
there
one
was a
person.
bounty hunting book going and
Nope, just me. I mean,
um
obviously in conjunction with Story Group and Marvel
right,
Editorial and
right,
whatever
right.
the future plans are. But yeah,
Um so how deep were you into the Legends universe or the
I was
expanded
into it.
universe
Yeah, I
back
mean, I
then?
dug it. So there's definitely a few nods to that. Characters that maybe haven't shown up in the new canon or the established canon, but were active in Legends. I spent a
Right,
lot of time with the Aftermath books just to kind of get the lay of the land that's
right.
established. Like, not so much the characters. Like I kind of nod to some of the
Oh,
stuff
that's
that
right. I
Chuck.
haven't read those, so those have
Yeah, they're fun. They're
been
really
in
good.
this era. I've been meaning to. I just
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah. They're quick reads, and they
I'm so much of a comic guy that the other ones are for the car listening, and I love books. So
yeah.
there's a long list.
Yeah, I think the challenge with the Aftermath books is that they came out obviously time to Force Awakens, so the rest of that trilogy hadn't been mapped out or
Right,
shown. And so now that we're kind of at the end of that trilogy, we have a better idea of what Luke, Leia, Han, and all these characters were doing in
right,
the past.
right.
Whereas, so I think the Wendig books are great, but they also deal with characters that aren't the core characters because they
Which I
wanted to,
love that too,
yeah.
because it's such a big universe. It's kind of a shame that we haven't expanded beyond the core characters as much as we
Yeah.
could.
One of the fun things too is always
And that's how much I love Star Wars. I'm calling it we. I've
yeah.
never worked in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I think one of the fun parts of it has been introducing new characters and kind of adding you always like I
Right,
said you always want to add to the
right,
mythos in some way if you can and bringing in new characters, elevating villains. I wanted to have a threat that felt important. Obviously you're not going to pull Vader or Thrawn out of a hat. It's not
right.
easy to make those kind of villains, so but how do you make something compelling and challenging and create supporting characters that are interesting and contrast? So that's been the fun part, and the artists I've gotten to work with have been amazing, like Leonard Kirk and Stefano Raphael and Jethro Morales, like are all super pros. Like Leonard, I used to
Right,
read Leonard stuff on JSA and Supergirl when I was
right,
just a fan. And Jethro is a real rising star in the Star Wars comics, and Stefano is also a longtime pro. Like his Catwoman stuff with Teeny was fantastic, and so it's been no pages come through where I'm like, oh, that should have been different. It's all like candy in my inbox every day. So,
right. So the you brought up the Legends universe
mhm.
because of something, at least the way you said, what is Han doing? Because um the one character that I've unequivocally liked better and unexpectedly so in terms of how he was handled in in the current canon
Hmm.
is Han.
Okay.
Um, and again, unexpectedly so, because I love Han in the Legends universe,
Hmm.
but it makes so much more sense that he wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah,
And I
he's
think
like a fish out of water in many ways.
right. He's New Republic royalties, so he can't really go be a smuggler, except
Right.
that it seems like eventually he does
Yeah. Yeah,
because what
he's
he
kind
does,
of it's interesting because of the core three, Luke, Leia, and Han. Luke and Leia are in their element.
right,
Leia wants to be a politician and a
right.
leader, and Luke has kind of this fork in the road. He can be this Jedi master, but he can also be part of the Republic. Whereas Han never set out to be a politician, never set out to be a government official, has no interest in the
Never set out to
Force.
be a general.
Yeah, yeah, no, is not a wartime guy.
Right.
So that's been interesting to play with to some degree. Um, and I think you do see it fleshed out in some of the canon novels as well.
Yeah. I need to get to more of the current canon novels. I have done enough. I particularly have liked Claudia Gray's work.
Oh yeah, and
Um,
I would say Zoraida Cordova, Delilah Dawson, Daniel Jose Alder,
Delilah Dawson did a
Phasma.
comic too, didn't she?
Yeah, she's done some stuff for Boom, and she's done.
No, I meant, didn't she do one of the Star Wars comics?
I don't know,
She did
maybe
the
I could be
Santa
wrong.
Staros one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
really good.
yeah, she's great.
No, again, it comes down to listening time because I'm not good at sitting down with pros anymore because I have a stack of comics and
Yeah,
they move faster
exactly.
in a good way, not like a bad way. It's same amount of story,
Hmm.
less time.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you.
So yeah, no, I'm super excited for this. I mean, just seeing the cover of issue one
Yeah,
is,
those Phil
I mean,
Noto covers are just like
that's like the classic Luke pose. Um,
it's just they're like movie posters. Like Phil is the best.
well, but it reminds me of when Luke was my favorite
He will
before I
be
grew
again.
up and discovered that I'm more of a Han guy.
Oh, I'll always be a Luke
I
guy.
never stopped liking Luke. I never hit that point where it's like, oh, Luke's the dumb farm boy. I didn't
Hmm.
go that far, but like uh, my feelings for Luke when I was three, or like the hierarchy of Luke Han when I was three, and the hierarchy of Luke Han now are very different.
Yeah, I was always pretty consistent. I was always a Cyclops guy with the X-Men, a Leonardo fan with the Ninja Turtles. Like I always gravitated to that kind of central leader protagonist. So Luke was always my guy, but
Right.
it's been interesting to get into Leia's head, Mon
I
Mothma's
love Leia.
head. Yeah,
I mean,
all this.
honestly, it used to be Luke, Leia, Han, and now it's probably Han, Leia, Luke
Yeah,
for me in
all
terms
of them
of
are fascinating.
those three. And that there I can blame Claudia Gray a lot too, because
Hmm.
she's centered Leia a couple of times in just fabulous
Yeah, she's fantastic.
work. Um, yeah. Before we forget, Dick
Hmm.
Tracy
Yes, Dick Tracy.
has been fantastic.
Thank
Talk to me
you.
about Dick Tracy because I know it's been a long journey.
Oh yeah, that's been a winding story. I'm so glad that we're kind of at the stage where books are coming out and it's not a theoretical thing. But
Right.
yeah, the long and short of it was when I was at Archie a while ago, I was co-president of the company and I am a huge Dick Tracy fan, and I wondered, who's got the license, who's doing any of the comic stuff. I reached out to Tribune and we put together what I thought was a deal to publish Dick Tracy comics. And so I was going to co-write it with Mike Moreci. We announced it, and then kind of soon after the announcement, we realized we didn't really have the rights. It was there was just a glitch. They thought it's almost like not even worth talking about. It was so long story short, we didn't have the rights, and so it went
Right.
away. Um, and that was a bummer because I was really keen on the story Michael and I were telling, and the potential. We had some long-term plans that we had just started to kind of brainstorm. So it was a bummer, but it's also like that's publishing. Sometimes these things happen. You kind of just keep rolling. And then fast forward, and I'd left Archie, and I was just kind of wondering, like, could we get the license? Could we just like talk to Tribune and get the license ourselves? And so Chantel Amy Osmond, who's the creative consultant on the book, and Mike and I reached out to Tribune and just said, "Is this available?" And it happened to be available. And so we sent them our pitch and our script, and they liked the story. And so we got the rights, and then we partnered up with Mad Cave, which has been a perfect relationship in terms of publisher and talent. And they've
Oh,
been
Mad Cave has been.
yeah, just super supportive of the project. And Geraldo Borges joined the team as artist, and he just brought the right dynamic kind of neo-noir style to the visuals that I thought, just paired perfectly with the story we wanted to tell. And so I think what we tried to do is honor the source material, the Chester Gould stuff, the Max Allan Collins stuff, all these great legends that have worked on the newspaper strip and also previous comics like Cal Baker. Um, but we also wanted to do it in a different, just slightly different style. We wanted to tell a story that wasn't bogged down by any kind of continuity. It's not so much a Dick Tracy year one as a Dick Tracy kind of year two or year one and a half. Like he's around, he's been around. We're not telling his day one origin story, but we are showing him interacting with a lot of his rogues gallery for the first time. And we wanted to put our favorite parts of the IP in a blender and see what came of it. So it's like very much the gritty style of the Gould strips, the color palette of the movies, if a little muted. That's really a testament to colorist Mark Englert, who kind of immediately got what we were going for. He's like, you want to evoke the movies, but you don't want it to feel like, you spilled your colored paint all over, like it's not the same Art Deco style as the Warren Beatty film. And so it's the
Right.
shorthand is it's LA Confidential meets Dick Tracy. It's a if you have no concept of Dick Tracy, you have never read a Dick Tracy newspaper strip or comic and never watched the movie, and you just want to pick up a fun crime comic with a cool rogues gallery, then this book is for you. But if you are a fan and a deep cut fan, there's some real major Easter eggs in that book. Like every minor character is a character in the mythos. Like, if there's a scene where Flat Top barges in and murders some people, and I think in any other comic book they would be nameless gangsters, like just fodder, but they're actual characters. Like, Michael and I have done our research and tried really hard to not only keep the fans happy, but also make it accessible to people who don't have that ingrained Dick Tracy knowledge.
So, I just enjoyed the interview you did with the Beat
Oh, cool.
on this,
Thank
and you
you.
brought up some good things. And we have a comic strip book club on 22 panels, and the first comic strip that
Hmm.
Bob Sikoriak, Carl Krumholtz, and I talked about was Dick Tracy.
Nice.
Um, and I mean, there are a couple of things that I've really noticed. I mean, it's clear that you were introduced to Tracy through the movie, not both from the comic itself and from your interviews,
Uh-huh.
but have that history because it's much more hard boiled, and the original strip was much more hard boiled.
Yeah.
So I guess one compliment. I love how you thread the needle in terms of the art style,
Hmm.
making it a little bit more human, like the Beatty, but having the slightly more pointed chin,
Yeah.
like the comic.
Yeah, that's all
Um,
Geraldo. I think Geraldo was really
yeah,
striving to honor, he wanted to
yeah,
bring his own style to it. Like Geraldo draws like Geraldo, and he's great at
right,
it. He didn't want to be, we didn't want it to feel like us doing a pastiche or imitation of the Gould stuff. I think that's been done before. It's been done well. A lot of
right,
artists have done it and evoked it. We wanted to take the elements of the series that we liked and blend it with the stuff that we're good at. Like Michael and I are really good at character driven crime drama, and Geraldo is a great action artist, but also he has great character moments too. And he,
right.
why try to imitate somebody else when we can just play to our strengths and honor what came before? That's the big difference, I think, from this iteration to some of the previous versions of Dick Tracy.
Right. And one of the things that when we did the book club, one of the things
Hmm.
that caught my attention, um, particularly having grown up more in the Max Allan Collins era of Dick
Right.
Tracy, um, is how violent the old strips are.
They're brutal. Yeah, they don't
Um,
mess around.
which made there was one thing that you said in the Beat interview that caught my attention, and like I had to think about it, but I agree with it, but it's like in a really weird way. Um, you said Dick Tracy is basically Superman as a detective, and overall that's true because he's
Mhm.
like always the good guy,
Right.
but he will absolutely shoot you.
Yes. Yes. In the same way that the Golden Age Superman might toss somebody out a window, or like there was like there was a difference to what I mean is like he's not Batman in the yellow trench coat. He doesn't have the same
No,
kind of dark, pessimistic, pragmatic worldview. He sees the good in people, which I think is what I made me think more that he's more of a Superman type. He just doesn't
right.
have the superpowers. He's got this yellow coat and hat and watch, and that's it. And he's a regular
No,
guy.
again, I love the analogy because
Mhm.
like if you get past the fact that Superman, at least Superman as we know him in this era, doesn't kill, and Dick Tracy absolutely does.
Right.
They have really similar worldviews, including some of their blind spots.
Yeah.
He's truth, justice, in the American way, the same way Superman is, at least in the comic strips that I've read so far. And I haven't seen anything in your books yet to make me think that he thinks that he's allowed to make the law. He enforces the law.
No, and I don't think
Um,
it ever crosses a line any more than, say, Superman would in similar
right,
situations. There are, he wants to believe in the best of people. He wants to
right.
believe that people are inherently good and doing the best they can. And even when that's challenged, he would rather err on
But
the
I think he
side of
also wants to believe that the system,
he wants the system to work. And
well,
sometimes,
and that it's designed to. I think
yeah,
I think, one of the interesting dynamics between Batman and Superman through the years is like Superman's upholding justice and Batman's sitting there going, yeah, except that Clark, it's not justice.
yeah, it's a
You, you,
broken system. Yeah.
right. You I mean, it sometimes gets played back on Batman too.
But I
Um,
think the difference there too is that instead of, Batman says the system's not working, let me impose my own similar system that will work
right,
versus let me subvert the system and start something new, which is a whole different level. That's kind of like the Green Arrow of it all. Like,
right,
that's Green Arrow is basically the social justice hero saying this isn't
right,
working. We need to help people. Like we're going after the wrong people.
right,
Whereas Batman traditionally is let's punch the criminals and throw them in jail because the getting of the criminals isn't working. Once I put them in
right,
jail, it's not my
right,
problem anymore.
right.
So, and that's a flawed system too.
It is.
Yeah.
So I mean, just knowing your writing, um, knowing the character and like the depth that's there,
Hmm.
um, I'm excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I hope you dig
You
it.
want to
Or,
tease?
the first arc finishes up with issue 5. Then we're kind of working on the second set of issues. It's an ongoing, which I think a lot of people have been
Right.
wondering about. Like, is it just a mini series that ends? And I think the comic market has been challenging because we oftentimes don't get the runway, or fans are smart. If they see it's a one shot, they're probably going to be less inclined because they know there's not a second issue. You're just buying that one off. So I'm really thankful that Mad Cave has
Unless
been.
they're like me and I love one shots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking generally, but like Mad
Right.
Cave has been very good about saying you guys have some runway. Like start planting the long-term seeds here, and that's been really fun to work in that space and kind of tease what's to
Right.
come. So yeah, the big gang war is revving up, and we're going to see Dick Tracy's world kind of rug pulled out from under him as he realizes that some of the people he expected to be on his side maybe aren't, and the big reveal of who the new player in the underworld is. The readers know who it is, but Dick Tracy doesn't really know yet. So that's been kind of a fun thing to play with, like letting the readers know who's coming and seeing how Tracy reacts to it. And Tess Trueheart has been just a blast to write. Like she's probably been my favorite character aside from Tracy to play with, because I think the cliche would be to make her a Lois Lane type, and we've subverted that a little bit. She is a very dogged reporter and asks questions, but she also wants to be part of the solution in some ways too.
Couple last questions because I
Yeah.
know that you need to go work or something because like
Hmm.
you write during the day or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
stuff to do. Yeah, yeah.
um, again, it brought up in the Comics Beat interview with Avery Kaplan, which is fantastic, and I
Thanks.
tell everybody to go read Comics Beat. Was asking about what it's worked like to work with a creative consultant, which isn't quite the question I would ask. The question
Hmm.
I would ask is, what is a creative consultant?
That's good. I mean, I think the term varies from place to
Right.
place. It's a very
So on
general.
this book,
Yeah. Chantel was part of the journey to get the license. Like she was part of the
okay,
team. Like we got it all together, and she has she's an editor. She's an editor. She's a writer. She's had a long publishing career. She has a really keen eye about what our take is apart from what has been established. And so I think
okay,
her notes have been really important in terms of like, this is what you guys really probably want to do. It's not so much as an editor. That's why, there's an editor. Chaz Pangburn is our editor. He
right,
works at Mad Cave, and, you know, he obviously handles like the mundane part of editing, which is like trafficking and managing deadlines, but he also is a great voice and like clarity of focus. But Chantel is the great voice in terms of like, well, this is what we want. This is like part of our mission statement, and so she kind of keeps us on that track. So it's a weird. It's a very vague term. So there's not one for one in terms of like what a creative consultant has done with other projects. Like I can only speak to what she's done on this
no,
project.
and that
So
and I only cared for this project
yeah,
really because I imagine it's something that changes, but like particularly when we see a credit that we don't
yeah,
know. I mean, we've talked to a lot of editors on 22 panels enough to know that different editors do
yeah. And
different
editors
things. It
have different
depends on, are you a
styles.
freelance editor? Are you a editor at a place? What do your creatives need from you, etc.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, let me just because it's what I teach my students, repeat it back in different words to see if you understand it. Kind of sounds like she's like your first reader slash writer room buddy, but she's not necessarily doing any of the writing.
I would say she's more of a sounding board and gives notes and feedback. Like the writing is Michael and I are the ones writing the
Right.
script and coming up with the plot, and obviously bouncing it off her and off Chaz and off Mad Cave and Geraldo. You know, once he gets the script, like one of the big notes we always give him is, if you have a better way to make this work, please do it, because we don't want
Right.
to tell you how to draw or how to lay out
Right.
a page. This is just what we see in our heads. So
Right. Very cool. Um,
awesome.
Now my last question, always my last question, because it's the most fun question.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, I always prefer comics, but I've decided whatever media, tell me something you love that not enough other people have experienced and you need them to, because you need more people to talk to about it.
Oh man. In terms of novels, what have I been reading? I'm just looking at my stack. Um,
I mean, I went and discovered some detectives because of your uh, beat interview already.
oh, good. Yeah. I mean, that's a good lineup of detectives to read. George Pelicanos, Laura Lippman, Dennis Lehane.
Unfortunately, Pelicanos doesn't have audiobooks of that detective.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a
No,
bummer.
not
I
right
mean,
now.
yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, those are great, great, great,
So
great
I might
novels.
have to go
Literally,
like read real books.
well, A Firing Offense is pretty short. It's
Yeah.
literally it's
Yeah,
thin.
but
It's
my
like a
my
Chandler
school
book.
year, I mean, I was so glad that we could get today in because I know that during the day is easier for you, and
Yeah.
my school year starts tomorrow. So
Oh,
we've been working
yeah, it's
on this
perfect
all
timing.
summer, and, and this was the last day.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying Mariko Tamaki's and Javier Rodriguez's Zatanna book. I think
Okay.
it looks beautiful. Mariko is super talented. I mean, she just won the Eisner.
Yeah, I
Couple
love Mariko
Eisners.
Tamaki.
Yeah,
I
she's
haven't
great.
actually read that yet. It's on my pile.
It's very good.
It
I've been
just got higher.
enjoying Birds of Prey by Kelly
Oh,
Thompson and
killing it.
yeah, just great. I'm literally scrolling through my Kindle stuff. I'm a huge Love and Rockets guy. I think some people are daunted by it because it's been running for 40 years. Like obviously
I know.
yeah.
We do a near weekly Love and Rockets book club
So I
where
was
we've
just
been
posting
going
on, yeah, I'm just so excited
episode
that
by
they're,
episode.
Yeah. I
Issue by
love
issue, rather.
Gilbert stuff. I'm more of a Jaime guy that just kind of scratches a special Archie love, like that
Okay.
kind of art style is very familiar to me. Um, in terms of, let me look at the novels I've been reading lately. I really like the new Lev Grossman, The Bright Sword, which is kind of his take on Arthurian legend. Uh, I was just reading Great Expectations by Vincent Cunningham. He worked
Okay.
on the Obama initial election campaign, and so it's a very kind of thinly veiled commentary on that. But
Okay.
it's a very literary exploration of this one character's struggles, and it's not a long read. It's very good. The Path to Paradise, which is about Francis Ford Coppola making Apocalypse Now, and also founding American Zoetrope, and working on The Godfather and writing
Right.
Patton. And it's a little bit of an overarching biography, but through the prism of his experience on Apocalypse Now, which is fascinating.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
Another book I really liked that also just won the Eisner was J. Andrew Demon's The Claremont Run, which is a look at Chris Claremont's original X-Men run through the
Okay.
prism of
Yeah. Yeah.
gender
Yeah.
and sexuality. It's really good. It's an academic book, so kind of go into it knowing
I
that
read
it's
my share of
yeah, yeah,
those.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But just, like it's not like a pop culture
Right.
analysis. It's very a deep dive into Claremont's run. And I also read the Dan Jones histories of the British monarchy, the Plantagenets and the Wars of the Roses and stuff like that, which I wasn't expecting. I'm writing kind of this epic family crime novel saga at some point, so that was surprisingly informative. Not
Okay.
surprisingly in retrospect, but yeah, off the top of my head,
I mean
or off the top of my
that's a
Kindle, that's
that's a fantastic list.
oh good.
I will ask the one follow-up question.
Mhm.
Favorite Love and Rockets art issue,
Oh,
whatever.
probably the Love Bunglers.
It's so good.
So good. I did an episode with Sarah Century. A friend of mine has a podcast called Best Issue Ever.
Okay.
And so we did an episode just on the Love Bunglers. She interviews different people about their favorite comic, and that, I mean, I reread it every couple of years if you want to like a gut punch, like a narrative
Right.
gut punch. Yeah, it's just brutal and heart-wrenching, but also beautiful and great.
Fantastic. When we get to that, maybe I'll reach out and say,
Yeah,
hey,
I love
hey,
talking about Love and Rockets.
join
Yeah,
the Love and Rockets book club for a few weeks.
yeah. Let
Because
me
I
know.
mean, we'll do it in its issue form. Because
Okay.
that was actually spread out across at least a couple of the news stories.
Yeah, and they just Fantagraphics just announced that they're collecting the last batch, the most recent batch of Jaime stuff, where Donta meets up with
Yeah,
Maggie and they interact. Not to spoil
right.
anything if you're only reading
Yeah.
them in the trades, but
No, no, no. I've read every.
yeah, 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 you're caught up.
I have. No, but I mean, the book club. We're not reading the trades. We're reading the
Yeah, yeah,
single
yeah. No, no,
issues. So
yeah,
we
which
just
is
got
great.
done with issue 47 of volume one. So
Yeah, I mean, my
we're
point
still
is
early
that
days.
there's other stuff that's not
Oh yeah.
collected. Yeah, so there's this whole like
I
sci-fi story that Jaime's
Yep.
been telling for the last 10 years that
Yep.
is so bonkers and
Yep.
awesome. And if you liked his
I
superhero
get my
story,
Love and Rockets every month when it comes out.
yeah, same.
I'm not the one that we have one member of the group, the three people in the book club. There's me who's read everything in different forms,
Hmm.
whatever. We've got a younger um, queer Latinx
Hmm.
woman who's doing Love and Rockets for the first time, and we added um, a storyboard artist from El Salvador and refugee living in Australia who
Wow.
wrote a letter to issue that got published in I think issue 16.
Oh, cool.
When I
That's awesome.
saw that letter, I there was enough identifying information that I went looking for her. I had her on the podcast as a guest. We hit it off, and she joined the book club.
Yeah, no, it's just such a fantastic. I mean,
It
it's
is.
it's an epic story, like literally the definition of an epic family
Yeah.
saga. Um,
So
yeah, I read that whenever it comes out. It's a different experience. And when you read the
it
collections,
is.
you get that one singular through line, and then when you read the comics, you get a bunch of stuff. You get the Gilbert
Right.
stuff, you get the Jaime stuff, you get
Right.
a few Jaime stories because he's just prolific that way.
Right.
I'm excited for when they do collect that sci-fi story because
I am.
it's so bonkers in the best
It's been
way.
crazy. Yeah. It's been
Yeah,
crazy. I'm
but yeah,
looking
I love
forward
that
to the
book. I
collection.
mean, I tell everyone about it if I can.
Yeah. Well, you got a fellow lover of Love and
Awesome.
Rockets
Yeah,
here.
let me know when you guys get to the Love Bunglers. I love
We-
talking about that book.
we'll have to geek out Love and Rockets sometime.
Yeah,
If
for
your
sure.
life ever slows down and you even want to just pop in, let me know.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know when that's happening, but I like to
I
be
get
busy.
that. That's I have learned that about comic book people. You guys never stop.
Yeah, I mean it's you embrace the work. It's fun. I feel blessed most of the time, so.
Good. Well, for 22 panels, this has been Alex Segura. We will
Thanks
see
for having
you
me.
after the next page.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.